Dang it! He was my ride home.
Hello everyone, Mask Maker Buddy here. Sorry there hasn't been a video lately. I've been busy with school, laziness, and my job. Yeah, I have one of those. Anyway, I'm going to do another prototype video since you guys seem to like them. Now, I guess prototypes are mysterious in general since we really don't know what happens to them after they're made. Oftentimes prototypes can look very or sometimes really different than their original product that came out. And that's generally what a prototype is. It's just a rough sketch. However, what happens to them is a complete mystery. Sometimes they're often cannibalized for parts and used for something else. Other times they're sold to collectors, fans, etc. But prototypes in themselves are mysterious, and I think that's why people enjoy my videos about these Bionicle prototypes. Cause they're a mystery in and of themselves. We don't know what exactly their fate was. We're hoping one day, maybe people will shed light on some of these. However, that's probably not the case since LEGO's very secretive about their prototypes, and I highly doubt they'll ever release the facts about some of these sets I'm going to show you. I'm also going to be covering unreleased sets that were never released, along with prototypes. Here we go. Unreleased Polybag for Fabuland. This polybag was supposed to come out in 1986, but for whatever reason it never came out. This one is a mysterious one. Not a lot of information is available. I went on Bionicle. I went on Brick Wiki and couldn't find a single thing. I don't know why this was never released since there was so many polybags for Fabuland, but only time will tell. Remember the LEGO Wild Wild West theme that came out back in the 90s? You know, that was actually called Western, but everybody calls it Wild West. The LEGO Western theme was very groundbreaking. It featured detailed minifigures, the barrel we all know and love, pistols, rifles, flags, dynamite pieces, Native Americans on horses, you name it, they had it. But there's one animal in particular that was planned to be released, but never was. Introducing the LEGO Basin. This was a creature that was supposed to be in the Western sets, but for whatever reason, it never appeared in the sets. This is the only photo we have of it. There's even pictures of cactuses, which I don't know if they were going to be in the sets, but they might have been there for show. I couldn't really track where this picture was from. I have a feeling though it was taken at LEGO's headquarters itself. It's possible this piece was never made due to the molding limitations at the time, but it doesn't say exactly why it was cancelled, so we really don't know. But it's a shame. It could have been a unique piece and way ahead of its time. While I was on LEGO Wiki, I discovered 3 unnamed sets. This one, which I honestly have no idea what this is supposed to be, but there's a early LEGO Alien that was supposed to be released, and then there's these. Now here we can see they used a lot of neon pieces, which was common for the time. I mean, this was 1989. Now, I have a theory on what theme this eventually might have became. I have a feeling it was Antron, due to the big windscreen piece later being used in that set. This is just a theory, I don't know how true this is, but it's just a possibility. Then we have another set, which is a strange looking building with some red translucent panels. I really don't know what this is. Comment below, what do you think this is? Of course, we'll probably never know what exactly this theme or its name was going to be, but it's quite interesting to see. Now guys, if you remember on my top 10 Bionicle prototypes, I mentioned a Kitongu battling a building or whatever. Well, I have some news. Somebody on Google Images uploaded a video of what the box was supposed to look like, and here it is. Other than that, we still don't know exactly, you know, why the set was never released, yada yada yada. But we have an idea how big the box was going to be. Looks like it was going to be one of them chunky boxes. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. Moving on. This next one is the most mysterious out of all of them. It was a board game scheduled to be released in 2010. However, it never saw the light of day. It was called Knight's Kingdom Board Game. I'm not sure if it's referring to the theme or that was the name they gave it. There's no pictures on it, and there's nothing on the page other than saying it would have been released in 2009. This is the most mysterious one on the list, since I don't know if it's referring to the Knight's Kingdom theme or it's referring to the castle theme that was available at the time, Kingdom. I really don't know. This is probably the most unique one on the list, without a picture. Moving on. Europa. Set in the 19th century Europe, this was supposed to be LEGO's quote-unquote first real historical theme. Now, some can consider pirates as historical, but it's not historically authentic, if you want to put it that way. This was supposed to be a unique theme, which was going to focus on towers, soldiers, horsemen, and all that, but it never saw the light of day. Now, I actually have a theory on what this theme actually became. Pirates! Don't believe me? Just look at the soldiers' uniforms. You know you've seen those uniforms somewhere else. Now, we don't know if this picture was taken before 1989 or after. If it was taken after 89, that would mean LEGO just reused the Blue Coats uniform for these sets, and that might be the reason they never released it. Or it could have came out before, and they just reused the figures they never used for Pirates. That's one of the possibilities, but because we don't have a date for this photo, we really can't say whether or not it came before Pirates or after. It could have been an afterthought, or it could have been actually a beginning thought. But the truth is, we may never know whether or not it came before Pirates, or maybe LEGO's just fucking with us. Now, this next one is a lot of unreleased Antron vehicles, mechs, robots, etc. Now, I have a feeling this one was before 1990, since a lot of these do not have magnets, and that was the core focus on Antron. However, a lot of them do contain the logos, so they were probably still in mid-planning, and they were probably a couple of months away before they were ready to release the set. These are some pretty cool sets, but eventually Antron took more of a magnetic vibe. Really cool to see. But our next one is pretty similar. This next one is supposedly Antron. This one must have been in very early development, since it looks nothing like what it eventually became. I honestly do not like this one, since the colors don't feel appealing to me. I feel like the red with the neon yellow just, pops out. And green with white, it doesn't work. And it has a very similar looking background to the photos we saw earlier. Now, if this photo is saying what it's saying, this is the earliest Antron development picture we have. Of course, my theory on the unnamed space photos, being Antron, that could be maybe, just my interpretation, because it has a similar piece. But who knows if this even is Antron in the photo. Now, LEGO Castle has focused a lot on castles. Well, that's why they're called LEGO Castle. But these unreleased sets were trying to focus more on the village aspects of LEGO Castle. And it even tried making a new mold, such as a LEGO Loch Ness Monster, a hybrid of the dragon and the crocodile, which would have been cool. We even were going to get a mine, but unfortunately, it didn't go through. And Castle and Kingdom were what we got instead. Tron. Tron was supposed to take place underwater. It was going to combine space and the ocean. Of course, never saw the light of day. Featured a lot of unique pieces, and I'm sure it would have sold well. but it was canceled for whatever reason. The minifigure that was shown in the pictures is unique due to the molding. I really hope that one day we will get one of these, since it's a very unique figure, and I really feel like the new stuff is lacking compared to this. I really can't say any more about it. It's a cool theme, and I felt LEGO should have put it out there, but it never was what it should have been. The next photo I'm going to show you was taken at the LEGO Ideas headquarters, and it shows a long list of prototypes. Now, we already know of the Alien Conquest ones in the background, but I'm going to show you the ones that are on the shelves. The first thing, there's a Rebel unreleased set that's on the table that was featured in a dictionary. Here's a picture of it, but it's cool to see that from a different angle. Now on the shelf, there's some sets that have been released, but if you look closely, there's a lot of other stuff that you've probably never seen. Now the first one I want to point out too is the Watto. Obviously, it looks like a mid to early 2000s sculpture, and I bet it was planned to be released in the 2000s. It's similar to the Darth Maul one. Then tucked away in the corner, we have what appears to be what would have been a UCS Slave 1. It looks very similar to the one that was released in 1990, so it's a possibility it would have been released somewhere between 2000 to 2001. It would have been the first UCS Slave 1. It kind of makes you wonder, how many other Star Wars vehicles were they planning to make into UCS sets at this time? Next, we have a medical droid and an Imperial probe. Now, I highly doubt these both would have became sets, but then again, General Grievous, that awful UCS one that came out in 2007, did come out, so it's highly that these were supposed to come out near Revenge of the Sith. Honestly, I'm more interested in how much these would have cost. I estimate they probably would have been around 200 to 400, not counting inflation. Next, we have what appears to be a TIE Interceptor in red, and I'm assuming a Mandalorian vehicle, and a Jedi Interceptor. We can also see Darth Maul's ship right there. And it looks like these were a bunch of colored vehicles. Don't really know when they would have been released. Maybe they were just the creators messing with different colors, seeing what they can make brand new, but we really don't know what sets those are, other than the Sith Infiltrator right there. That's about it. Then tucked away in the really far right, we have this droid thing. I'm not really sure of the name. Comment below what it is. I can't really remember, but that looks like it would have been a really ugly UCS set. I probably wouldn't have bought it. Looking at the colors though, it looks like it was made probably in the early 2000s due to the usage of brown, a common color that has been retired in Star Wars. Well, there you have it. That's all the stuff I can find. I'm sure there's more I missed, especially in the background, but this is as much as I can cover. I'm glad to see they're in a glass case, protected. And I have one more thing to say before you go. A lot of these prototypes, we will probably never know what happened to them, but it's likely they were cannibalized for parts, used for other sets, or just destroyed. But I'm glad to see that some of those were kept. Think of it this way. All that stuff in that room, only about 10% of it becomes real sets, and then the rest of it, they just become prototypes, and they're left to be destroyed. LEGO is a huge company, and they're always making changes to sets. Due to LEGO's practices being entirely kept secret, it's likely we'll never know the fate of most of these prototypes. But sometimes the people who build them keep them just as trophies, but other times they're melted down Or sometimes they're just reused parts. But whatever the case, they belong where they should be, in a museum. They belong to fans, people who played with them as a kid or were going to. They belong to the fans. That's who they belong to.